Hey there, Stephanie Joy with all things Social Security and the law practice of Joy Disability. Here's a short little segment from our recent live stream Q&A that we have every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the YouTube channel, All Things Social Security. Enjoy, and if you have any questions, leave them down below in the comments and I will be sure to get to them. Thanks so much. Bye-bye now. Hey, how are we doing today? People are just starting to pop in. I hope everyone's doing great. Hope you had a great week. It's only Wednesday, but half the week anyway. For most people anyway. Everything is good on this end. Busy, busy, busy as always. ML Callaway, 1929. Hi, Callaway. I'm 58. Oh my goodness. Is this like a birthday party for 58-year-olds? Everybody's 58 today. Not everybody, I know, but a lot of us. You gotta admit, I've seen more 58-year-olds today than anyway, 58 years. Me too. I'm soon to be 59. I'm 58 and have been having a lot of issues for the last 6 years and just received a referral from my state insurance stating, according to their records, I may be able to get SSDI, but I'm afraid to apply. Well, then you call me and we'll take a look at it. That's interesting. If you're still working, obviously that's no go. But if you want to fill out the eval, all right, go to joydisability.com, Callaway. And if you look right at in the upper left is the free SSD evaluation. That'll come down. Just mention your screen name. It'll come right to me. She'll probably get it to me anyway. And we'll take a look and I'll give you a call. And, we can go over. Because sometimes it's something that you might have a good claim if you do certain things for the next 6 months. But right now you don't. And so that's something you're going to want to know. Or you could right now if this. So we can go through all that. Okay. Well, SSA would not have any account of my earnings unless I reported it. Yes. If you evade taxes, they're not going to know unless you get in trouble for it. And I reported it. Good. By the way, that's what kept you insured for as long as 2023. If you make money and you don't report it as earning money, in which case Social Security taxes are automatically applied, irrespective of income taxes, guys. If you don't do that, then if you don't pay those Social Security taxes because you never filed the Social Security income information for that to be calculated, you're going to have no DLI, you're not going to have any insured status, and your Social Security retirement benefit is not going to be what you thought it was going to be, right? But that's not what you're saying, Jen. So I just chose the onset date of 6/30/19. I don't remember that stuff. Was kind of deathly ill. Well, your attorneys, you have attorneys. I'm sure they're making sure it's the right one. And, if you had unsuccessful work attempts while you were trading, blah, 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 they can, and I should say, you can notice this sometimes early on when you start seeing things like, oh, that should be a different onset date. Usually earlier is when we actually care. But you can ask the SSA to amend it, and they won't. They just ignore the letters. So you go to the judge, ask for it. I would say write a letter to the judge before the hearing. Use the 5-day rule, ideally, but he might accept it at the hearing too. But you just want to give him a courtesy of what you're going to ask about. So people have already kind of figured out if that's something to consider. They will usually be very amenable to amending it for you. It doesn't mean they're going to grant it for you, but they'll amend it. Now, if they're seeing no medical records as far back that, at some point they might say, counsel, have you talked to your client about actually amending it into the future? And I'll say, if I have, I'll say, yes, I have. But if I've done that, I sometimes often do that in advance too. We will amend to the future, which means less back benefits are possible. But if we know those back benefits were going to be awarded anyway, why not make it closer to something he could fully favorably award versus something he cannot. And it's going to have to be either a denial or a partially favorable. But you could bring that up at hearing if it should be earlier. I'm assuming your attorneys already have that under wraps. Hey, Rain Gal's in the house. Hi, Rain Gal. Nice to see you again. Late to join, but wanted to say hi. I appreciate that. Always say hi if you guys are visiting, because then I see it and it warms my heart. Yeah. And when we have those occasional, I don't know what they're called, perks that go to people who showed up, this is the only way we know if you showed up. So it doesn't work if you're just voyeuring, which is fine, but not that the perks are anything huge, but you know what I'm saying. Our Jade says, I'm going to likely get my SSDI first before I get my workers' comp. In a big battle with workers' comp, which is pretty sad because we know SSA is kind of slow too, right? Our Dave, yeah. DG's in the house. I don't think we've met. Yes, workers' comp is horrible. Is that what you're saying with those tearful eyes? Yeah, right, DG? It's almost like if you're going to get hurt, it's better to be hurt in a car accident because you have more control. And then you can also sue for, if it's not your fault anyway, for the damages. But if you're hurt at work, you can't sue your employer because they give you the sweet blessings of kissing their butt for workers' comp payments. Sorry. Can you tell I'm getting tired? It's 3:30. Jen's talking to Candy. All right. Also late to the party. Willie's in the house. Also late to the party. Hope everyone is well. Yeah. Check your portal, Willie. Rules. So no worries. Sorry about that. Just trying to clarify. No worries at all. My brain is full though. But that's the first thing that came to my head when I was talking about maybe log that stuff going forward in preparation for down the road. T Cash. One last thing about my sister's case. We did change the mailing address. Could it be a test to make sure you call when you get that letter saying it's canceled? No. However, if they sent things about we need to know you're still around, or we need this or we need that, and she didn't respond, they might think she's no longer the one collecting her benefits. You need to get on top of that because that's how fraud happens. And on Fridays I do that fraud law review segment, and it's always about an OIG, Office of Inspector General, fraud case that has been either indicted, convicted, sentenced, charged, and it's all generally related to Social Security or Social Security somehow involved. And it is not unusual for these things to go dead people who died and someone who has access to their bank account not telling the SSA, maybe forging their name if a letter comes in or not, but these letters are there to little checks and balances. And I think they need to be tougher on it. The person doesn't, respond. You've sent it 3 times. I think it's a good, the second you turn it off, they're going to wake up. Someone's going to wake up. And if they don't wake up, it probably means that person was dead and that money shouldn't be going where it was going. And there was a big scam, and they'll probably look into that. But yeah, you want to get on top of that. It could very well be we've been asking for you to reach out to us and you haven't. And now we gotta shut your benefits down until we know you're still a beneficiary. I mean, I've seen it go on for over 10 years. Some of those reports, 10 years a person's taken someone else's who's not even around, doesn't need them, has gone off to heaven, is taking their benefits. And that's at the expense of, it was my daughter calling, but I think she's pulling in. But we're gonna get off of here soon, so yeah, go check that out, T-Cash, because it could be something just like that. Michael says, I have copies of the actual places where they claimed over SGA due to paychecks, but they didn't deduct for vacation and holiday pay. They also overlapped my stubs, and I pointed it all out. All right, well, do your homework on what can be subtracted and what isn't, okay? Because some of that might not fly. Let's see. Stacy says, would SSI make an appointment for my daughter to get auxiliary benefits if her dad has not been approved yet? I don't think so. Does an appointment mean approved? I would think so. That sounds like very promising. It's not SSI, by the way. There is no child auxiliary benefits for SSI. You mean SSD, Social Security Disability, or SSDI, same thing as SSD, or SSR, Social Security Retirement, okay? I just gotta look at something real quick. Hold on, guys. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's a really good sign. No, they don't want to spend time on you if someone hasn't already won that a child could get auxiliary benefits from. So that's a very good sign, Stacy. Michael says they actually sent a letter preceding the SGA ruling that explained exactly where they felt I was over, but they didn't do deductions. Go get your rules on what deductions are allowed. Okay? Make sure you have those rules in hand and that they apply. All right, so go get the actual rule, the Social Security ruling or the Code of Federal Regulations section. Also, if her dad owes $20,000 to child support, will they take all his back pay? I hate to say it, but they should, and or a chunk of his new stuff. There is supposed to be things they do. Can you repeat that? Repeat what, KJ? There's actually something called replays, so feel free to listen to the replay once we get it out. You're welcome, John. Jen says, I've definitely already considered this partially faved thing and made sure that any new conditions in the past few years are connected directly to my original case conditions because they are. Yes, that's always good. Because remember, it's not just the current stuff is still important because you don't just have to, you don't stop it. Was she disabled before her DLI? Then you have to show it continued as shown by the medical evidence up to the present. It doesn't stop. Sybil says, I got squished by a backhoe. It got treated as a car accident, not work related. Ooh, that's good. Well, it's good that it was network related. Wow. I hope it was a big company with a deep pocket. Just kidding. Well, not really. Jen Me says, I'm not playing their games. I will only leave this process with my full back pay because that is what it warranted. Okay, well, you could say that. I'm just saying this universally. What you're saying probably is, I'm not going to quit if there is an avenue for this. So I will appeal to federal district court if I have to. What are you going to do if you get denied at federal district court? I will only leave this. The process will end one way or another. So it won't even be you're in the process, even though you're saying, I'm still in the process because I'm not leaving. Well, there is no process. So you know what I mean? One way or the other. You could, I would think long and hard if you win an award of SSD I would be very, and you can talk to your lawyers about this. They'll talk to you about this. If you win a partially favorable and they say the evidence just didn't add up until here or whatever, particularly when you were able to work SGA up until a few years ago, just think long and hard, because if you appeal that without a surefire, like you didn't even have an age bracket change or anything like that, they can open up your entire case and flip it and deny you. And then, of course, you can appeal it then to appeals council and federal district court. But just telling. So if you want the headache to continue because those extra bucks are the end all be all, then maybe you'll do that. If it goes south, and I think let's keep our fingers crossed that this goes perfectly fine for you, or goes sideways and partially favorable, but you're not happy with that. Just remember that your choices have consequences and risks. So, I'm just urging you to. Some people, particularly if it's been a very stressful process, so if it's been stressful for you, sometimes they're like, I don't have a surefire win and I can't take the stress anymore. And I think our stress health is more important than the money. I'm not saying it's fair. We all know what we think our evidence showed. Believe me, I totally get that, but there's more to Jen than just that. Jen has far more value than those, so sometimes we have to make choices. So just consider that if something doesn't go exactly as you want it. Give me 1 second, guys. My daughter sees something and she wants to know, what is it, a chair? What is it? Looks kind of interesting. They're giving it away for free. Do you want it? It's, I guess someone's like, I may get it regardless. She said, I don't even know what it is. I'm looking at it. I'm like, is that a shelf or is that a chair with a top? I don't even know. This is from this little picture. Stacy says, oh, this is so sweet. Thank you so much. You show your show and your, I love your show and your wisdom. That's very kind. That's so sweet. And she goes on to say, by the way, he has EWO and offset for child support. What is EWO? Income something offset? Work offset? Income. Federal already saw the errors. Right, but you're on round 2 now. So if it corrects those errors, I have faith in federal at the least. Maybe this new LJ will say. Fingers crossed for you, Jen. Civil. I continued working for 6 months after cochlear implant. I have special census case with tons of other issues. Yeah, the cochlear. Isn't that how they say it? I always say cochlear. My daughter goes, Mom. I don't do it on purpose. I really don't. I just never really know how to say it right. And then it's just a habit. Jen says, it's my money. The federal judge, new logic. Okay, well, we got your fingers crossed for you, Jen. Income withholding order. Oh, okay, gotcha. Goodness. I know they think I'm out, but I'm not. Because we're running over time. But anyway, all right. So I think we are at the end, guys. So that's typical overtime for us, but that's okay. Hope to see you guys next Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the 12 p.m.'s pre-recordeds, please turn them on. And you can always click like and all that business too. But what was the other thing? Yeah. Any more thoughts on that? I know, Ikmar, you said that you can't really do it the way I was saying I thought we could. I'll look more into that. So thanks for giving me the heads up about that. And if I can do it that way, which is probably the only way I want to do it, we can still do a blank intermission, but I was hoping to make it something worthwhile to the channel itself and its mission. If I were to do it, it would be a twofer, but we could still just do the one-fer if we have to. Hi, Sherry Romero. We're closing out, Sherry, but it's good to see you, and thanks for saying hi, Danny and Civil. Have a great week, guys. So 12 o'clock dailies, 1 p.m. every Wednesday, Eastern Standard Time. Be there or be square. And thanks for supporting the channel, guys. If you have any questions at any time, to put them under any video, any of the, 1,500 of them or something nowadays, I will see them and I will get to them. So if it's a question I can answer, I will definitely do that. If not, if it's just a statement, I'll like it or heart it. And if it's something worthy of a video that I think it would be suitable for a video, I will absolutely make a video. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great one. Be safe.